As early as 1918, following World War I, groups of amputees were organizing themselves. And by 1920, these individual groups scattered across Canada joined to form a national organization with a threefold purpose: to bring their case to the Canadian government, to help with retraining and rehabilitation, and finally, to explore and initiate research into the little-known world of artificial limbs.
An application for a charter has been made in the name of the Amputations Association of the Great War, to bind together in the spirit of fraternity all men who have lost a limb or limbs whilst giving their service to Canada. Reverend Sidney Lambert lost his leg on the battlefields of France. The association could not have made a better choice than the Padre for our First Dominion president.
Let us accept the challenge of amputation and overcome it in the same spirit that gave us victory in the days of war, victory in days of suffering, and will ultimately give us victory in our own lives, crowned by achievements worthy of our best selves.
Gentlemen, if I could have your attention for a moment, please, I'd like to read out the resolution. Whereas the present war crisis affects the future of this association, and whereas the efforts of the association should be made available to future war casualties, therefore be it resolved by the Amputations Association of the Great War that we adopt the following name: the War Amputations of Canada. Dear Mrs. Steinhoff, I have been informed that your son, Albert M. Steinhoff, has recently lost his right leg on active service. It is hoped that he would soon be returning to Canada by hospital ship, and that I, as an old amputation case of the last war, may have the privilege of meeting him at that time to assist him to reestablish himself back into civil life. May I say that we are an organization of some 3,000 soldiers who lost limbs during the last war, and it is our hope that we may be able to assist these young men who are suffering similar disabilities. Yours sincerely, Ralph Hodgson, the War Amputations of Canada. Our key tag mailing project shows every sign of success. The first 100,000 key tags mailed met with a wonderful response and resulted in a very worthwhile addition to the association funds. We believe we will be successful in developing the activity into a perennial one.
Fully rehabilitated for work and play, the amputee serviceman takes his place as a normal citizen in the building of a dominion he helped to save.
Nowadays, more and more of the work of the War Amps is devoted to helping civilian amputees. The War Amps believe that their personal experience with amputation is useful in helping the new amputee face the loss of his or her limb. Even the wives of War Amps share in this concern, and when asked, willingly talk to the wife and family members of the new amp. After all, she too has lived with the problems caused by amputation and knows what the adjustments are to ensure a return to a normal, happy family life.
H.C. Chatterton has been appointed to the position of Executive Secretary. His wide knowledge of veterans' problems and his ability to get things done will be a great help.
Many individuals and groups have reaped benefit from the work of the War Amps. Veterans credit them with playing a lead role in securing better pension legislation for all widows and veterans in general.
The newly established National Service Bureau will continue the association's work in obtaining improvements to pension legislation and health care benefits for all veterans, and particularly for war amputees, their wives, and widows.
What happens now when a youngster loses a leg? Who is going to speak for these kids? So we started CHAMP.
From the latest myoelectric hands to counseling to the chance to meet other amputee children, no other organization in Canada can meet all these needs.
War Amps created the Play Safe program after seeing children who had lost limbs in preventable accidents.
You've got to play safe. Play safe.
to the War Amps that Terry Fox, Canada's most famous teenage amputee, turned in a time of need. Armand Vio fitted the Canadian hero with a new leg and a spare, all of it courtesy of the War Amps.
I am Astar, a robot. I can put my arm back on. You can't, so play safe.
Never Again, a series of 30 videos about the Canadian volunteers who fought these wars. We realized in the War Amps that the computer is the great equalizer.
We've learned about Canada's military heritage
from those who are actually there.
Now we can pass on that message.
The Key Tag service here in Toronto was relocated in 1993 to a 50,000 square foot building. We have our production area where we're able to continue to meet the needs of helping amputees with employment opportunities.
The War Amps and the CFL, a tradition for 25 years. Carl Hilsinger was a CFL star in the 1950s. After he lost both his legs in a car accident, Carl became a counselor to child amputees. The War Amps and the CFL have been working together ever since.
Whatever game you play,
play safe! Play safe! Play safe! Play safe!
A message from the War Amps.
Joining me is Karen Valley. She is with War Amps Canada, I should more. So this organization has been around since the end of World War I.
Yes, it's a legacy of 95 years of war amputees helping war amputees from World War I, World War II, and we've made a commitment to our modern-day war amputees to assist them with all their needs relating to prosthetics and pension benefits.
The War Amps is carrying on its 95-year legacy by helping thousands of young Canadians every year. This one-of-a-kind program has returned 1.5 million sets of keys. Some rebranding teams could one day try to modernize the name War Amps, but the War Amps say it's important to carry on the name.
Well, that's how the whole program started, with those men in the war, how they've come back and they've had a few limbs lost in the war or anything like that, and it showed me how to push myself further.
This is a unique Canadian charity that carries on the proud heritage of Canada's military and our war veterans and their legacy that is carried on to young Canadians today.